Well, Charles,
Good to be here, Jason.
the world's richest African American has endorsed our next president, Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, a lot of progress and actually a lot of, what's that?
That is our live stream on Telegram beginning. You know, a lot of people have asked me to broadcast on alternative platforms like rumble.com and odyssey.com and getter.com. We're getting a lot of new viewers on getter.com.
Good.
So thanks to everybody who's joining us on those alternative platforms, and a huge thank you to people who have become sponsors and remain sponsors in these economically challenging times, Charles. You know, I was thinking of having Joe Biden write a letter to Patreon and Subscribestar and force them to give me more money, because planned economies always work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting, we've been on this for several weeks now, and the art department has done a great job showcasing the fact that there really now seems to be open war in the Democrats, where the folks who grift as Democrats realize that they have zero power if they get slaughtered in the November elections, and they will be slaughtered. And there has to be a reckoning. Either the hard left progressive AOC Bernie approach is the way they need to go, which I think is the wrong way to go, or a more approach, which also won't win, because if you want conservatism, you can go the MAGA route.
Right.
So I think they're in a box canyon that they moved themselves into. And I don't know if you have a summary of that poster, but it was fantastic.
Oh, I do actually. But I'm just curious, are you spelling reckoning with a W? Because that's going to happen. Yeah, this is based on a movie called Knives Out that I think was unfortunately kind of relegated to pandemic obscurity, but it's all of the Dems: AOC, Hillary, Nasty Nancy, B-Rock, Schmuck Schumer, Jake Sullivan. Kamala's not looking too happy. She knows she's next on the block. Stupid Adam Schiff. Hunter Biden is busy recording private phone calls on his iPhone so he can store, you know, encrypted conversations for people to find later about how he can tell Joe. It's the sound. Today is just terrible.
Yeah.
It's been so chaotic and noisy.
He's super happy.
They're practicing getting Biden to the hospital. Doing practice runs here.
They're too late. But we are here in Bryant Park, and this is another nice park for everybody to see. It's always good, I think, Charles, for us to revisit these locations, because, I mean, the seasons are changing and we're going from park to park, and everybody can sort of see how activity is evolving here in New York. Oh, look, Joe Coffee. I wonder if this is the dumbest coffee in the world.
So this park it reminds me a little bit of Paris, places in Paris, and it really is a very nice place during the warmer months of the year. In the cold months of the year, they have put up a skating rink. They have all these shops and stuff like that, but you can sit here, you can get a variety of food at different kiosks. The one thing you have to watch out for are the repetitive beggars. There's one guy who used to roam this entire thing, making I don't know how many circuits a day, saying, you know, do you have a couple of bucks for a homeless veteran? And he just reeked of booze. I mean, it was obvious what he was doing. He was just
Running for Congress?
Exactly. I'm training with Nancy Pelosi.
Stinky drunk walking around,
Right.
not knowing what he's talking about. He's a perfect candidate.
Right. But this is a nice, in terms of if you're in Manhattan and you want to get a couple of things accomplished, or a number of things accomplished, this is a good central place to be. You're between 6th and 5th Avenue, you're between 40th and 42nd Street, and you're really smack dab in the middle of the nicer part of Manhattan, and you can walk almost anywhere.
It's also pretty interesting, Charles, how I don't know if I necessarily appreciated this before. Let's go down to the grass area there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily appreciated this before you and I started doing the show and the outdoor parts of the show, but really every park in New York,
different, yeah.
well, they have their own personalities, right? Like, in other words, we don't have a lot of jackasses riding around on skateboards and bicycles in here.
But we do have garbage.
Well, it wouldn't be New York without that. But yeah, this whole area, so I think they're getting ready for summertime movies over there.
Right.
They get this like Winnebago or whatever with a big projector, and then you can sit on the lawn and watch like Jaws and all kinds of old movies that they play.
Yeah, this to me makes more sense. This lawn is at 1.1 acres. They had a sign up saying the lawn was 1.1. This makes sense because if you think about an American football field, this is about the same, roughly.
Yeah.
But this is 1.1 acres in prime of Manhattan. I mean, I wonder what that would go for. Probably
a lot of money. Look at those balloons over there by the fountain.
Yeah. Those aren't balloons. That's a monkeypox statue.
Oh, interesting. Now, you know, there was an article in the Daily Mail that noted Tom Hanks was having some kind of tremor on his hand while he was holding a microphone. And I certainly don't know what's causing that. There are some people who just have that sort of stuff happen as they age.
Well, you know, I don't want to get in too much trouble here, but there's an enormous number of people who used to be telling us a number of years ago after the vaccine that take it, it's 100% effective, don't worry. And they bragged about getting boosted and whatever. Person after person is coming
Fauci just tested positive, apparently.
Fauci, Gavin
But there
Newsom.
was a test for jackassism.
Well, that Gavin Newsom, was it Justin Trudeau just tested for it?
I don't know.
I think it was Trudeau. Had been with Biden at the Macron, one of the other Macron or Trudeau had just been with Biden. But I started to say
in the biblical sense.
I started to say that we were very early on pointing to the fact that the real problem we have now is it's not a right-left divide, it's an ass clown versus sanity divide. I mean, this behavior is just the behavior of a petulant fool who has decided that the only stick he can play is to get mad at you and try to intimidate journalists or intimidate somebody.
Oil companies.
You don't want me to get mad.
Or what, Joe?
Yeah, exactly.
Knock you over with a feather.
Right. And so yesterday he was speaking before the AFL-CIO, and really he just each day.
What is AFL-CIO?
American Federation of Labor and something other. It's a big union group.
Oh, right. Yes.
And let's go down this way. And first of all he said he's sick and tired of all these people spreading lies about his economic program.
What? Oh, you mean like that nasty stock market and the foreign exchange?
Bond market.
Foreign currency exchange, all those liars?
Right, yeah, commodity markets, everything. And all those people who actually have been doing this for one way or another, not the people themselves, but the profession for centuries, they're all lying.
Oh, Joe knows everything. They're idiots.
Yeah. So, and he gets up there promising, his plan will bring, high-paying union jobs into America, and he doesn't get it. He has no clue how this economy works. Look at that. Russia has 5,977 nuclear weapons. U.S. wants war. Oh my God. I think this is a LaRouche guy. Often there's a LaRouche table around here. Maybe this guy is.
Lyndon LaRouche?
Yeah.
Isn't he dead?
Or, there's people who follow him.
He's not wrong. Guy's not wrong.
Oh, I know.
He's Hare Krishnas or something.
Yeah.
So Joe is bullying the bond market and everybody.
Yeah, but at this stage, then it's either Ron Klain or I think his name is Deese, but I call him Douche. Steve Douche. Here, guys, block the entrance to the Dunkin', begging for money. And that just should not be allowed. Bless you. So Deese is saying that, or it might be Ron Klain, that Joe Biden hasn't missed anything at all about the inflation. He's on top of this. His plan is working.
Right. He's on top of it, he's underneath it, he's behind it, he's all over this inflation thing.
And one of the things we have learned, or should have learned, in the period 1989 forward, is that if somebody says something aggressively enough, forcefully enough, as if they, loudly enough, and has a position that will cause you to say, well, or if the person is the former president of the United States, you're inclined, and the natural human reaction is to say, well, who am I to say, right? Well, Joe Biden says he's got a plan. Joe Biden says this is working. He's the president. But what we've learned from this is ordinary voters, ordinary people who are not politically engaged should take everything that these politicians say with a complete grain of salt and say, actually, whatever they're saying is likely to be 100% wrong.
They're taking it with a grain of crack.
I know. But, they've raised, while we were walking up here to start, the announcement was made that the Fed decided to raise interest rates 0.75%, which is a big increase on the base.
Well, what's that going to do?
I question whether it will do what is required. I mean, if
what do they expect it to do?
It's a signal that to the market that the Fed has tools in its pocket that they can raise.
Tools.
Well, they can raise rates further if inflation doesn't cool. But the problem is, if you assume that inflation is 6% now, which it's not, and you raise the rate 0.75%, so you're up at like whatever that is, 4%. 3.75%. Your rate is still less than inflation, which means that if you can get credit and you can borrow less than inflation, you feel you can service the debt, probably should keep going ahead buying stuff. Doesn't cool inflation. If you raise interest rates to say 8% and inflation 6%, that would start to cool, but it would also crunch the economy. And by taking what I would regard as a baby step late,
it's too late.
It is too late. And we're beginning to see that now, for example, in Japan. And I'm not giving investment advice here, but when you look at... Who's that?
What's that asshole doing taking our picture on a skateboard?
Well, he probably thinks we're taking his picture. But in Japan, for the longest time, because the system really is a closed loop, they've held interest rates at a very low rate. Their comparable rate is 0.25%. And suddenly a very big hedge fund, probably more than one, has decided they're going to do to Japan what Soros did to England. They're going to break the Bank of Japan. So they've been shorting...
Who is going to do that?
This firm, I forget the name of it, in England.
Oh. Well, that sounds pretty bad for Japan.
Yeah, they have $177 billion under management, this firm, so it's a pretty serious firm. And so if you short the currency and short Japanese bonds and take the proceeds and you buy U.S. Treasury, either inflation bonds or even the straight bond, and you're right, you can make a tremendous amount of money. And the sign, I'm not recommending that. That's not for the average person to try. And
could they even attempt it?
You could, but I mean, it's just the kind of thing where you really have to know what you're doing and you have to be able to monitor.
Like diving off the Chrysler building into a glass of water.
Right, because while you're asleep, the Japanese market will be trading and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what may happen. They may try some, crazy move, as we tried with Russia. The government, that is, may do something to stop the speculation. So it's not for the faint of heart, but one testament to the fact that Japan is in really big trouble is the yen. The dollar used to get only 100 yen. And now, most recently, it's up at like 135.
So the yen is doing poorly. Maria Bartiromo said this morning that Joe Biden was lying because inflation is higher in the United States than it is in Japan.
I think Joe Biden is lying because...
I don't think it counts as lying if he has no idea what he's talking about. Right. Lying implies a deliberate false statement. He just says whatever nonsense comes out of his mouth.
But it's just, when you're the theory, the chief executive officer, the president of the country, and you just embark on a non-stop campaign of lying and speaking nonsense, not only are you debasing your personal reputation, he has no legacy, he's not a legacy. What you're doing is you're debasing the standing of all Americans, because people will say, you tolerated this, you put what's going on here?
They fought for it. They put him, everyone was like, oh no, this is the most votes ever.
Yeah, but we've put up with it. And in
I mean, we've been trying to not put up with it, but they just, throw us off the internet, and anybody who says anything gets shut up or arrested, like Peter Navarro.
Oh, I see what they're doing. They probably got in the subway, they're probably checking things. Transit Bureau Mobile Command. This is where that Harvard Business School fancy dinner was that I went to. Pretty nice place.
Yeah.
Actually, the food was, for one of those big dinners.
Oh no, this is a very premium catering place.
Not such a great job of paying their sales taxes, but.
Oh, I don't know anything about that. My ex-wife used to perform for events there. Hey, look at the teeth on that fire truck.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so the same thing. So when you keep your interest rates too low, it creates an opportunity for speculators to say, okay, we know what happens. Governments that don't reform themselves, eventually the markets discipline them. So this is free money. Let's short the dollar and take the proceeds and put it in something that will go up against the dollar.
Like the
eventually.
ruble.
Yeah, like the ruble. That's another thing. I mean, to brag about losing that's a rare talent, right? Lack of talent. To get up there and say our program. Our program against Russia is working perfectly. That's why we slapped all these sanctions on them. Our markets have gone to shit, and the ruble is appreciated. But it's
big
working.
win.
Big win.
Well, some Department of Defense guy or something gave a speech where he said we're not seeking regime change, and Russia's plan to take over Ukraine is failing. Except that Russia's never said that its plan was to take over Ukraine, and they did say they want regime change. So what the hell is that guy talking about?
I know. Well, again, a fish rots from the head. We have a rotten fish head as president. Anybody who would continue to work for this doofus is not somebody I'm going to listen to. Anyway, now
we're living in a city of idiots.
A city.
Idiots.
See. Do some jaywalking here, Jason. See if we survive.
Every time I walk, it's jaywalking, Charles.
That's true. That's J-dog walking.
If they ever try to give me a ticket, I'll say that.
Zero waste schools.
Yeah. Complete waste.
Yeah, I'm sure the administrators are well paid. Probably got 35 administrators for every kid. For every 100 kids.
Well,
anyway, so every day the Biden regime, I think, gets further and further into trouble to the point where, of all people, Don Lemon and also Van Jones, are just questioning Biden's fitness to serve. Is his mind melting down? Shouldn't we care about this on air? Asking these type of questions.
She was really upset. What's her name? Jean-Pierre. Karine. What is her name? Saint Pierre? Jean-Pierre? Karine was all pissed off. And it seemed like an authentic reaction. Don Lemon was like, hey, by the way, isn't Joe Biden an idiot? And she was like, Don, don't ask me that.
Yeah,
he asked her if he's going to run again in 24 because that guy Axelrod, as you pointed out, said, nah, he's...
Well, this whole thing of trash talking. I remember when the first time I experienced trash talking in a semi-serious way was at Yale. It was my sophomore year. There was a student from, I think, Indonesia or something like that.
This is only because they hadn't invented online video gaming yet.
Right.
That's the center of trash talking.
Right, but people were talking about, we had not the varsity tennis team, but we had like the intramural tennis team, and this girl would say, oh yeah, I'd love to be on the team. I'm really good. And I won this tournament, that tournament. I'm ranked this in this region, and top of this and top of that. And I looked at her, and with tennis, what you can tell right away, if you anyone starts bragging,
arms.
You take both arms, and one arm, whichever you should look at a good tennis player. You could tell right away if they've played, because this arm is going to be much bigger. I stopped playing a long time ago, as much as I used to. But I looked at this girl, and they're like pencils. There's like nothing there, and so I said, all right, you sure you want to do this? Because it's a commitment, it's a lot of time, and oh yeah, I want to do it. So let's all go out. We go out to the tennis courts. She didn't even know which end of the tennis racket. It was just major.
Why would she do that?
I know. Well, why would this Biden brag about the economy? Why would Steve Deese do the same? Why would Kamala Harris pretend that she's competent? There's an element of trash talking that is just amazing to me that Kevin McCarthy and Linda Graham and people like that, they do it as well on the Republican side. The most dangerous people I've encountered in life are the quietest ones. You know, who they don't immediately say to you, well, you know, I was a trained assassin for Spetsnaz. I met one of those guys once.
Right.
You know, or Blackjack Dalal, I met him as well, a mercenary. And, you know, at least I knew who he was.
Right.
And I was fully prepared to spend as little time talking to him as possible because I did not want to go on his hit list. But, you know, the people who are just don't really tell you much about themselves, and then you can, if they're athletes, you can tell by the way they move that they're pretty fucking competent. If they're in business and they're not bragging.
Who's Mr. Awad?
I don't know.
He's got a wad of cash in the back of that SUV.
Yeah, it's an expensive SUV.
It's not the Cadillac version. But the point is, Charles, people who are
But you look at this cabinet.
actually tough.
Yeah, I mean, but you look at this cabinet, and it's just a collection of circus clowns.
Disgrace.
It's a collection of people who got rejected from the circus as clowns. You know, I don't want to play a clown in the circus. I would like to play one in real life. You're in.
Yeah.
You're Secretary of Transportation. I mean,
Right.
Alfred E. Newman.
Somebody seriously was mentioning that Buttigieg should run for president.
He should run for president of Malta, where his family is from. The guy's a moron.
Oh, I didn't realize he was from Malta. But he is a moron, and he's totally unpresidential. He's never done anything.
But look at this.
Oh, boy.
This is what we're going to see more and more of this. I mean, it's...
They call this the
Look, that
bike
guy, you
life.
see that one guy with no tire in the front. Jason, do you see that?
No.
One guy standing on a bike, Jason? See that?
Yeah, I do see that. Boy, I mean, they're just begging for accident. Oh, wow, he's really standing up. Yeah, I don't know, Charles.
More and more of that.
Yes, no doubt.
So yeah, I mean, here we have, and it's no laughing matter for 80, 90% of the country that doesn't have any savings.
What was this?
I don't know. Club champion, it says.
This is what the champions of garbage.
Huh?
Champions of garbage.
Club champion.
I guess
Some
it's a
golf
thing.
or something. Now, do you want to go up second, or do you want to go down to the?
Whatever you want to do.
So you're in charge.
Well, we're going. Where are we going to?
Up to the Ukraine.
Right. Yeah, we'll go up. Are we going to get roasted by the sun here?
We're going to have to pick one
Might
street
have
or
to just
another.
Take it.
I think we stay on this side. We'll be okay.
Yeah.
So we can either, do you want to go down one more or go up second?
No, this is fine right here.
Okay.
Buttigieg is a dope.
Well, I mean, we look at this issue of Secretary of Transportation. You know, we have Jennifer Granholm was a conflicted dope, getting up there saying, again,
Who is she?
Secretary of Energy, saying, you know, I just drove around in my electric vehicle, and you know,
What did he say?
And you know, every time I would pass a gas station, I think to myself, isn't it great that I don't have to pay for gas? I mean, you shouldn't allow a maroon like that. One of my followers on Twitter said to call them maroons instead of morons. You shouldn't allow a maroon like that to make a comment like that, because if we took every one of these vehicles here and instantly achieved electric vehicle nirvana, swapping out for electric vehicles, which we can't do, but let's say we could do it, now the demand for gasoline would plummet, but the demand for electricity would skyrocket.
Right.
And we don't have the electric capacity to fuel those cars.
Yeah, and Elon Musk has put a little bit of color on that argument by saying that, you know, when the Gigafactory, which was recently opened, is fully up to manufacturing speed, which it is not even yet, it's only going to create about 10% of the battery capacity or something like that. So he has a handle on, you know, what And I mean, it's always like when you drill into it, that's just for passenger cars, and then you've got big giant trucks, obviously.
But to make a statement like that's stupid.
Yeah.
As the Secretary of Energy, and to allow, you got to believe that the letter to the big oil companies.
Well, it's a disqualifying statement, Charles.
Right. But to the letter that went to the big oil people saying, you know, I've decided as President of the United States that this is what the output should be. You know, you don't even care about your shareholders or legal responsibilities. Listen to me, I'm the dick and dictator. That initiative came from this airhead, Granholm.
See,
it's
there's
her area.
Certain type of person who. There's one time I was hired by the Discovery Channel. They started a 3D channel.
Right.
And they said, hey, we want to make reality shows. And, you know, keep in mind, these cable channels in the early 2000s and, you know, late, you know, right before 2010-ish kind of time, we were just getting commoditized HD cameras that were like $4,000, $5,000, where you could have a production company that owned 5 of those and send out a bunch of dopes just pointing cameras at Kim Kardashian and her sisters fighting, and it changed the scale of the economics of production.
That's garbage.
And the problem is these guys just wanted to apply all that to 3D. So they hired me and they said, we want you to do this show because we've seen your work and you know how to do stuff on low budget productions that other people don't know how to do. And I showed up and they were like, all right, you got to use this equipment. And I said, okay, that's fine, but that's not going to work for what you want to do. And they're like, no, make it work.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, it won't. And you telling me to do that, it's like, look, if you hire me because I know what I'm doing and then I tell you how to do what you want to do, we can't do it some other way that you want to do it. And if you're going to force me to do it with this crap, just go get the high school AV team and tell them to do something that's not going to work, because at the end of this, you're going to blame me for it not working.
How did that work out?
We did it their way and it failed the first day. And I was able to demonstrate that what I was saying was going to work, and we did the show the way that I wanted to do it. But then that guy who was the producer obviously was pissed off that I had shown everybody that he was wrong and stupid.
So he fired you.
He didn't fire me, but the thing went out of business. Actually, that guy was the guy who brought me the $1.9 million contract for the next show, because even though it was clear he didn't like me, there were things I was able to do in that industry that nobody else was able to do at the time that I was doing it. And when you hire an expert to do something and then tell them to do it your way, you obviously don't know what the hell you're doing, or you wouldn't need me here.
That's the kind of thing Buttigieg and Kamala and Biden and others and Hunter Biden will do.
Exactly.
Let's let this guy go.
The other thing about Hunter Biden, Charles, you and also many other people had sent me, there's this 28 gigabyte new tranche of information that's come out from copies of the laptop, which purports to be an encrypted backup of an iPhone. And that does ring true as something that could possibly happen, because the other stuff we were hearing from Jack Maxey, where he was expanding previously compressed files, well, that didn't ring true, because the types of data he was talking about decompressing, like videos and photos, they're already compressed. So what he was saying didn't make technological sense. This could be true. Right. There's questions about it that need to be vetted out, but I mean, whatever. We have the recording now of Hunter Biden. The thing that's interesting is the article that I read said, oh, this is a recording of a phone call from the iPhone, but I don't think that's correct either. It sounds like a recording in a room, just like if you and I were sitting in a room and I set down the iPhone to record, because you can hear the other person.
Is that where Hunter's working?
Alibaba?
And the 40 Thieves?
I mean, my point is, you know, you can tell by the sound quality that it's just an open microphone in a room, and that the other person is sitting further away from the phone.
This would have been a good poster here.
I didn't even hear about this movie
The
until
Old
right
Man.
now. Right? The point is, it didn't sound like the other person was on the other end of another phone. It sounded like they were in the room with Hunter. So the question then becomes, what the hell is Hunter Biden doing recording personal conversations between him and somebody else? Or is someone able to activate the microphone of Hunter Biden's phone in the way that we know that they're able to do? And if that's what happened, who did that?
Right. Well, I think the message, though, is obvious. I mean, Hunter has been trading off his father's political contacts for his entire life.
And telling people.
And you know, he's proven that the Biden family is bankable. You know, you pay them what they want, and you get what you need.
And Joe will do whatever he says.
Right. And that to me is just, I mean, fundamentally disgusting But then we knew that about Biden. We fundamentally discussed it.
It's also manipulative of the son to think that about his father. I'll just manipulate him and get him to do what I want.
Well, at least they have Father's Day coming up. I'm sure they can enjoy that. Which this day, this year, falls on Juneteenth. But so
really?
I just saw it in my bank. It said they're celebrating Juneteenth on the 20th.
Oh my God, that's racist. People are going to kill
It's a
them.
federal holiday.
All right, so.
I think. I don't know if it yet is.
But isn't it supposed to be the 19th? How could it be Juneteenth and happen on the 20th? That's stupid.
It's so Biden. Right? It's so
They
Biden.
should have made the 20th the official date for Juneteenth.
Right. Well, they should just, I mean, to be pure Biden, what you do is if it's a 365-day year, you'd have a cosmic wave generated random number, and every day would be decided at random. You know, the first day of the month would be July 6th, and then the second day would be, you know, whatever. Just completely random, making it very tough to plan.
Charles, it's difficult for me to deal with how stupid Joe Biden is.
The whole crop of them.
Oh, wait, look, fight for things that you care about, but do it in a way that, what did it say? Do something outside. So, all right, what about they finally passed this bill to protect the Supreme Court?
Well, yeah, that is, I think, long overdue, and it's amazing how these supposed, quote, charities are getting so militant. You know, they're trying to intimidate judges, they're firebombing pro-life operations. I'm sure we're going to have the reverse happen. Sadly, we'll see people firebombing abortion centers. Folks need to calm the fuck down.
That guy's got an egg roll sitting out on the street,
Just
getting ready for I don't know what. That's crazy.
I'll
just take a nap while the egg roll cools off over here on the sidewalk.
Right. Well, probably somebody just put it down there for him. I think this is that 49th, right?
Yeah. There's so much chaos going on today.
Yeah, this is where Katharine Hepburn's townhouse was.
Is it this way? Look at how
Second.
amazingly fluffy this dog is.
That is yeah, it's right here.
This dog should be on the Muppet Show.
Dinner. Don't go to Korea. Anyway, speaking of nail spots. But yeah, here's the Ukraine. Is it the consulate?
Yep.
I'm here to give you 18 billion more dollars. What happened to our preceding 53 billion? Oh, you don't want to know.
Well, I mean, the thing that's of some concern is that, you know, Putin basically said, if you escalate this, we're going to do something. And then they escalated it.
I know. Well, they're just behaving as if, you know, you don't understand who's boss. And
I think it's important for people to check RT.com to see what, you know, Russia's impression of everything going on is and what they might do next. But it seems like Zelensky changes his mind every day as to whether they want to negotiate or continue to fight or what.
I think it's an open wound over there. And it's interesting, the Pope, with whom I disagree on almost everything,
Oh yeah,
came out and said, scolded the West for provoking Ukraine. Now that is really freaking dangerous, right? Instead of sending $15 billion to Ukraine, why don't we fix that?
$80.
Well, if you're walking, this happened the day my youngest child was born. I was running up Lexington Avenue. Instead of giving tickets, why don't we fix the sidewalk?
It's not even doing that.
Yeah, and it used to be you couldn't do that, but now I think the law is you can't. But anyway, I was running up the street and there was a bigger hole than this, and I nearly snapped my ankle.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't care. They'll, you know, just charge you more for health insurance.
That's right. And again, this is how complicated is it to fix this? But I suppose, you know, de Blasio's policy was this is rich people. We shouldn't fix their sidewalks. Let them trip. They have insurance. They can pay for it.
Is he still running for Congress?
That man, he should go teach at Yale Law School.
Is he a lawyer?
No, he's
Perfect.
an idiot.
Yeah, that fits.
Yep, he's qualified, tenure. Distinguished age, John Kerry's teaching at
So,
Yale.
Hawley and Johnson have sent another letter about the Department of Homeland Security's Disinformation Governance Board, this time saying, hey, Mayorkas, This document over here basically says that Nina Jankowicz was doing business in April, and you say they didn't start until May. The funny thing is they didn't even reference the phone call with her. I guess that's not official enough, or they don't know about it. But she said she started working in March.
Right.
And I think, this is my opinion, it seems to me, Josh Hawley appears to me to be a very smart lawyer.
Right.
And he was the Attorney General of Missouri, right?
Right.
So he appears to be queuing up a counter lawfare move against Mayorkas, where he's going to bring him in and basically say, well, you lied in your testimony.
Right.
And that's a felony, isn't it? 18 U.S.C. 1001. And also, by the way, you're in contempt of Congress now. Hey, Nancy Pelosi and Sergeant at Arms, where's the FBI to arrest this douche?
Right.
And then they'll say, no.
I tweeted out a little bit about this, that Mayorkas, it turns out, and Mueller and Jamie Gorelick, and now that, who was that U.S. Attorney, Preet Bharara,
yeah,
and another number of people are all partners at the very distinguished law firm. It used to be Wilmer, Cutler, and Pickering. Then it merged with Hale and Dorr of Boston to become Wilmer Hale. And the Cutler in Wilmer, Cutler, and Pickering was Lloyd Cutler, who was the White House counsel for Clinton. I met him actually one of my first days at Dillon Reed. I remember we were representing a German company that was trying to buy an American company, and it was important. This is 1980 or 81. It was important that Germany was sort of still smarting a little bit from that 1941 to 45 thing, and it was unclear that the government would look kindly upon a German construction company buying one of America's more famous ones. And so we had to hire this Wilmer Cutler firm, and we go to meet to just strategize the best way of, this is a Cleveland-based firm we were going to talk to, and I walk into the offices, and there's Lloyd Cutler, and there are all these famous top German people and my big bosses, and it's like, I don't know, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I said, well, I feel like a Bloody Mary. Who wants a Bloody Mary? Lloyd Cutler is, making people making people Bloody Marys. To do that for like, I don't know how many different people, and charging who knows how much money, and
it's like, oh, this is great. We have a saucy drunk as our lawyer.
Well, he was a sharp lawyer actually, but the thing that's interesting is these firms like Wilmer Hale today and Williams and Connolly and Simpson Thatcher and Perkins Coie. Who regulates them? Clearly the Bar Association doesn't. Clearly the Justice Department doesn't. And it's just such an obvious gig that it's kind of like trying to discipline the cartel, the Mexican cartel. They're pulling down $200 million a day or whatever the number is, and you're paying a hotshot, on the front lines down there in Texas, $100,000 a year. There's going to come a moment in time where one or more of the supposed good guys are going to sell out.
Or just be outgunned, outmanned, unable to compete due to lack of resources.
Right. So this, Josh Hawley is so far, he's a young guy. Maybe he has presidential ambitions, maybe he doesn't. He's early in his career as a senator. He's doing some good things.
Yeah.
But I mean, Mayorkas needs to be. I watched Cruz ask questions of some person from the FBI who just used the old, well, that's sources and methods, I can't answer that question. Refused to, and she almost wouldn't answer what her name was. But there needs to be the kind of, it would be great if you could have a Democrat and a Republican get together and do, incisive questioning, even if it's limited to 5 minutes a person, where you can really get a head up of steam, where you have tough questions come, and then the other side asks the same tough questions from a different perspective, and inevitably you drill a person into the dirt until they tell you the truth. But when you have these show trials and hearings where people who are obviously lying, Clapper, for example, obvious liar,
and no repercussions,
and people say, look, well, why? What's
the point?
I'll do what I want.
Right.
By the time you figure out what really happened, it'll be 20 years after I'm dead.
I think this is what lawyers know, Charles. They consider it pushing the envelope, but regular people would consider it straight out lying. And there's certain things that they just sort of know, that the court and the judge and everybody's going to care about, and other things that they know they're not going to care about?
Well, they should be forced to do a real. You shouldn't be able to pull a Yellen and say, I was wrong, without, I was wrong.
They don't even do that.
And here's the $20 million penalty you're going to pay.
Right.
Right.
No, they don't do that. Even the admission of being wrong is rare. Now, that's that building. It's really going up quickly
JP
now.
Morgan, yeah.
JP Morgan, right?
Yep, world headquarters, global headquarters.
So that really has picked up speed in terms of the...
And I had when I was at Simpson Thacher, I was 18. That was a desk job, but I was, junior proofreader. My first banking job was in that building, Bankers Trust. Long ago.
Isn't Teneo in there now?
Is Teneo in there?
I think so. I don't know.
Doug Band is not in there, though.
I think it is. And that weird Grover, that is just weird.
I know.
For something that's not Sesame Street.
You can be very sure that the second wife, let's let these people go, the second wife of the owner of the building or the manager of the building, that's a nice thing to do, take your shirt off midday. Probably, talk to many art dealers and decided that they got a great deal on that
Drug
set.
dealers,
Art dealers, yeah. But, hey, Hunter, you're in the art business. Can you recommend a deal? Oh, sure. There's this guy in California. He knows Matthew McConaughey. He'll get you the statue.
Yeah.
He's got to pay my legal bills. Yeah, I got you a
That's
bargain.
crazy.
$10 million. Meanwhile, you got the Uyghurs in China spitting those things out for unpaid, but they reduce their food and housing debt by $1,000, and you get to sell that thing for $1 million.
So cryptocurrency is hitting like record lows.
Well, I think we're in a mode possibly where we know there's too much debt around the world, and I think one or more players have gotten caught flat-footed with too much debt. Stuff they thought was valuable has turned out not to be valuable, so they're selling whatever they can sell at any price. And we're not quite in a complete wipeout, but
Getting close.
Yeah, Tucker had a good segment on. Joe was, in the early part of his presidency, was bragging about how well he was doing because the stock market's really high. The stock market has been wiped out. It's
right.
Below where he started. So what's your next argument, Joe?
He's like, I don't really know what I'm doing, so it's not my fault. Well, that's valid.
No, that's not valid.
Well,
The first part of it is, yeah.
Yeah,
But
slightly correct. So the other thing that Elon Musk has announced is that they're going to have tomorrow some kind of a...
Ask me anything thing?
Well, but just for Twitter employees. And so, he's still moving forward with the deal being on. Also, Libs of TikTok had obtained some internal Twitter documents about deliberation between employees who wanted to wipe out her account. And she shared that with Elon Musk, and Elon Musk said that they have a bias against 50% of the country.
Right. I actually, I'm reading it slightly differently, that Twitter is, as usual, lying about the degree to which they are trying to comply with requests made by the Musk team on percentage of fake accounts. And I actually tweeted out today to Musk, you probably didn't notice it, but is Twitter too wokey brokey to fix? It's infected. It's got this culture of wokeness. It's based in a sewer in San Francisco. And to go in the direction that Musk wants to go requires a completely different mindset. And how many people have been highly compensated there for taking down Trump and taking down conservatives, and those are the people who are in top positions. How are you going to get rid of them?
I remain basically confident in my initial prediction that his goal all along has been to expose and destroy Twitter. And if he's able to make money doing that, okay. If it costs a little bit of money, that's also okay. But I think he's shaking the tree and seeing what turds fall out.
Well, let's hope he's under a turd umbrella. I think you're talking about a whole sewer system.
Well, he is in Texas, so it's hard to tell if that's hail.
It's terrible. pain like so bad. Like I'm literally like.
Over here, Jason.
How's the monkeypox situation, Charles?
I wouldn't
That
know.
sort of dropped out of the news for the time being.
Yeah, last I checked, monkeys cannot speak. So I don't understand who would be offended
They
calling
like
it.
watermelon. Somebody had a video of a monkey and a duck eating a watermelon.
That sounds like the beginning of a joke, right? A monkey and a duck walked into a bar. Do you have any watermelon?
3 million views.
Yeah.
It's amazing, you know, see all these idiots sit around and whether it's Netflix or HBO or whatever, all you need to do is strap a GoPro to a dog and go to work, and millions of people want to see that. And frankly, it's hilarious and interesting.
Yeah, well, maybe that's a suggestion for NBC, ABC, CBS.
Oh, it's been done already by individuals on YouTube, and it's a good example of why the commoditization of technology is a threat to certain people, because you see, entertainment and mass communication, whether it's radio, television, movies, for a long time, forever, had a massive barrier to entry, such that even in 1990, when I entered film school, a big part of the reason that you would want to go there was just to have access to the equipment, the cameras, the editing equipment. That stuff was totally inaccessible. The iMac was introduced after I graduated college, and that introduced desktop editing with the whatever it is, the IEEE 1394 interface. You didn't have desktop editing before that, so I don't think people really realize how recently it is that these technologies were all, oh man, wow. Let's go in here for a second, Charles. People will be interested to see this. I guess because for Pride Month, huh?
I think that's a good guess. It's not for Roy G. Biv Week.
Yeah. We're celebrating the visible spectrum of light. Oh, we'll get monetized if we go in here. So this has become a roller disco down there.
There's somebody on
Yeah, that's a new thing. They have, like, if you're not good at skating, you can have like a
go roller skating.
wheeled
Let's stay
walker.
on the cool side of the street.
Sure.
If that's okay.
All the cool dudes stay on the cool side of the street, Charles. So what else is happening that we want to talk about?
Well, I have figured something out about the Clinton Foundation.
Oh, yeah.
That is kind of interesting. And I'm going to have to razzle-dazzle the crowd with a slide presentation. I can throw the numbers out in the air, but it's going to be easier to follow if people have something to look at typed up. But I'll tell you that I figured out for the longest time we couldn't explain how the value that was assigned by the Clinton Foundation to their gift to the National Archives was precisely $36 million.
Not 33.
But just 36, comma, 000, comma, 000. I mean, that's on a balance sheet where there's nothing else in the balance sheet.
Suspicious.
Right away you say, now wait a minute, how did they come up with that number? And so then I have figured out, then the other thing, sorry, before we get to that number, then they had it's kind of like disappearing ink. The first audited balance sheet they present is for the year-end 2004 and year-end 2005. And we've been through this with a lot of the different other financial statements that I've analyzed and I've discussed. If you also provide to me, or to anybody who understands this, a cash flow statement for the year 2004, you can take the cash flow statement, you can take the income statement, and you can reverse engineer what those financial statements are assuming was the case at December 31st, 2003. Even though they don't publish that in the financial statement, it's just basic arithmetic, and it has to work. You have to be able to take it and reverse it back. So you reverse that thing back, and you discover that the idiots at BKD, and they should change their name to idiots. Idiot CPA. You know, I mean, they're obnoxious idiots as a firm. And so you look at this thing that's prepared June 9th, 2006. Mind you that BKD had been doing work both as the filling out the Form 990 as well as providing audits, which is a dangerous thing to do, as we've talked in the past, that there's a real conflict.
Separate.
You should have separate firms if you want a belt and suspenders approach, and you're big enough. So when you go and you look at the balance sheet that emerges, you discover that there's an inflation, and it's a padding of the value of the real estate, $40.3 million higher than it really was, which is precisely offset by two bank loans, 28,479,870, and an accounts payable, 11,878, 6 something or other. The numbers exactly equal.
Fit that 36 grand.
No, the 40.3 million.
Oh.
Exactly. So it's a clear fudge.
Somebody stuck it in there.
Stuck it in there to make it balance. And so then what you do, if you take that 40 out and you look at year end 2004 and you say the real value of the buildings are whatever it is, I think it's around $86 million, not 120, whatever the math is. And then you say to yourself, okay, if that really was the cost of a complex, what would happen if you said, use the following logic? We have a third party saying that the square footage of the complex that was used by the NARA is 74.4% of the total. So you take 74.4, you multiply it by the 86.
Oh,
and
the cost should be roughly equal.
That's the value of the grant, 60 odd million. You take, it's actually about 64.5 million. You take 64.5 million and you subtract the 36 million and you get the value almost precisely of this debt that's foisted in. So it's very clear that somebody had a working set of financial statements that we have got to hide the fact that we stole 65 million. Here's how we're going to do it. And I could take people through now precisely how I think this worked. And it's the kind of thing that may not be all that impressive to people who are fundamentally interested in words, but people who understand accounting and finance, you look at this and you say, yeah, that's exactly what they did. They're cooking. This is an example. Charles will help you. Charles is, not Charles, what's that guy? Emerald. The chef. Emerald's cooking a book show. Bang! Put a little garlic on that, more garlic. But
here's a fine chopped steak restaurant, Charles.
This one, Frisco?
In a van.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's good.
For COVID also.
Yeah, steak. The picture looks good. Say, I call bullshit on what the actual will look like.
Yeah, I don't.
You're not a buyer.
Well, there was something in the New York Post this morning about how expensive restaurants are becoming. But let's continue on the Clinton thing.
Right. So this mistake, when you undo this mistake, what you discover is that the real value, instead of being, it's shown at being like 127 million of the real estate, call it 120 million. The real value, when you take out the 40 and subtract the 60, is down to 22 million. And that just, why that is very important is that when the IRS is looking at how material is the straying of a foundation off of its authorized purpose, what you tend to look at is what are the net assets of the authorized purpose and what are the net assets of all other things involved. And the HIV and AIDS, if you really account for it properly, starts to dwarf the value.
And it's not part of the authorized purpose.
And it's not part of the authorized purpose, so it's material. It's a hugely material change. All of this happening in 2006, which is a hugely material year in Hillary Clinton's life, Bill Clinton's life. A, they've been working for over a year on getting the Unitate slush fund organized. That comes together September 19th, 2006. B, the reason they needed that slush fund is Hillary needed a lot of money to cut the legs of the field off by announcing January 20th, 2007 she was going to run, and she's the front runner. She needed to have a war chest together. So imagine the nerve of the numbers people thinking they can pull this stunt off They're never going to get caught.
Right.
And the gall of these people to believe that they can forever keep this bundled up, and then start thinking about what would be a central thing you'd want to make sure nobody talked about, and that would be the true value of this complex. And who would know that?
That dead
John
guy.
Glasgow, as would Bill Clark, his
But
boss.
he's dead from being old, isn't he?
Well, not in 2006. He's not dead. He
He
dies
did
in
die.
7.
Yeah.
Premature, early from cancer. And then Glasgow dies in January, sometime after January 2008, or in January 2008. So while what I talk about with regard to the foundation is finance related and accounting related or whatever, you would think if there were real committed law and order types who wanted to get to the bottom of what really happened to John Glasgow, and wanted to send a message to the swamp of Little Rock, the swamp of New York, that you can't get away with this shit, you would think that they'd really dig in here.
Well, we'd be living in a different country if that were the case, Charles. I mean, you just said something really important, that they do all this stuff apparently without any fear of getting in trouble. And that's one of the most consistent aspects of something that I see. A wide range of people who engage in doing things like, there's that book, A Felony Every Minute or whatever, about how if you really go through, somebody is like breaking the law in a different way. But most regular people, like, I'm pretty cognizant of not wanting to commit felonies.
You are? I didn't notice that.
Or violate federal laws,
kidding.
because it just seems like the kind of thing that would get you thrown in jail.
Yeah.
And I'm just not into testing that at all, but I have come now into contact with lots and lots of people who have no compunctions at all.
You've met James Comey?
No, but people who, with an equal degree of impunity, seem to think that they can do whatever the hell they want, forge my signature on documents they file in court, write documents for people who aren't them, lie. And that's just like, oh, well,
Well, so to go back to the poster for a second, I think the open warfare that we're seeing now with AOC not answering a direct question of Dana Bash on
she'll
CNN.
look at it.
I mean, first of all, who the fuck cares what AOC wants to do? I mean, she's a second term as a congressperson. The way Congress used to work, to have any kind of meaningful authority, you had to put a lot of time in.
Yeah, at least 100,000 TikTok followers.
No, you had to spend
you're nothing.
10 years at least. So you're still a junior congressperson. This woman thinks she can decide who the next president of the United States is.
She's telling Nancy Pelosi what to do. Not that Nancy Pelosi knows anything. Maybe this lady does.
Nancy Pelosi does not know anything.
Well, she's got a mask on her head, so I don't think she knows anything either.
Nancy Pelosi is proof positive that it does not make sense to drink pickle juice. I think
Well, it's a dirty
polite
martini,
way,
isn't it?
a polite way of describing what she has on a daily basis.
Yeah. And nothing's going to happen to her husband for a DUI.
Yeah. I want to know who was in the car with him.
Yeah, they're not releasing the body cam footage or anything like that. Oh yeah, by the way, speaking of that lawyer, Charles, what's his name again?
I forget.
But he is the guy who got that produced.
Phantom of the Opera? Oh, Book of Mormon?
Yeah, because he was making some deal with Trey Gowdy and, not Trey Gowdy, Trey Parker and
Matt Stone.
the guys who made South Park, right. So they also wrote this,
Yeah.
but I never saw it. Those dudes are waiting for the legal weed matinee.
No, that's the January 6th committee right there.
Exactly. Now, so what do you think about the January 6th committee last minute shutting down their thing for yesterday?
Well, what's that phrase?
Today.
They're sitting there in the great pomp and circumstance, and this idiot from ABC who's going to produce a Lollapalooza.
Right.
And after 2 days of hearings, and the ratings come back and the polls come back, and I think they're sitting there saying, "Well, what do you got? What do you got for them?" I got nothing. They had nothing. It was
They're
pathetic.
going to rebrand it and change the name to Loser Palooza.
Well, actually, what I think likely happened there is, in addition to the Actors Chapel.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we could put Zelensky in there.
The Garbage Chapel. I actually think what may have happened, and we probably should cross the street at some point to get out of the sun over there.
We got a wall there.
I know.
The walls work, Charles. We're not going to be able to. Ow! Chairs work too.
Yeah. You see that Tucker segment? Apparently in California,
they're moving to Mexico?
Yeah. But
I actually had a friend whose parents moved to Mexico like 2010, and I was like, you're kidding.
That's probably why they stopped building the wall. It's like we need to get...
Gotta be able to get in.
Yeah. But on the January 6th committee, I think likely what happened in addition, we'll go and then we'll... Sure. In addition to the ratings debacle, I think the polls are coming in pretty ugly.
Well, but see, the ratings thing, like Bannon said that, and I was like, this is Trumpian and frankly stupid, because they don't care about ratings. They're not trying to sell commercials.
But they do care about polls, and the polls are
follow the ratings.
The polls are ugly. I mean, they're really ugly. And
what are they saying? That people think it's
landslide?
No.
It has nothing to do with the committee. It's the Democrat prospects in November. I mean, right now the polling is. They always do it this way. They have. And we'll go that way. And the polling is on purpose. They don't, for some reason. I think it's just get you to watch TV right through the bitter end. Yeah. But it takes until after Labor Day for them to start polling likely voters. And if you poll somebody who has no intention of voting, what they say doesn't matter, and the poll is not indicative.
German shepherds indicate that they don't like the Democrats.
Yeah. So. The polls, though, at this early stage are likely showing.
That's an odd
modern
place for that.
Likely showing that you could bring back some of those disgraced Republican politicians who had to resign for doing whatever it was they were doing, and they probably beat a medium strong Democrat in any contested race. And
how's Steve Stockman doing? I got to reach out to his wife.
He wasn't in good health. But here's this Brazilian place.
I love this place, Charles. I wonder how much they charge now, because as you know, churrascaria is a fixed price usually. Yeah, let's take a look. And they used to have Brahma on tap here. I don't think you can get that anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if they.
And in Brazil,
there's no menu.
They might not say. You're gonna have to call and check or look online. In Brazil, Charles, they Brahma on tap is fantastic because they do these particularly small, like half a, maybe.
Oh no, I've spent a lot of time in Brazil. I like it.
It was like that big, and you're just like pounding these tiny little super cold beers while you're eating deliciously salty steaks. It's fantastic.
Actually, what they do, I remember. I think I mentioned this over the top weekend. 4 days I once had in the north of Brazil. But they put us on a pretty nice boat, went about 200 meters, 300 meters off their complex of houses, and then they say jump in the water. So we jump in the water, 12 and 18 of us, or whatever, and then they have, servants with actual, uniforms and braid on it, gold braid and stuff like this, with silver platters, serving you beer.
Wow.
In the water, serving you lobster and shrimp and whatever, while you're standing up to your chest, or maybe up to here, talking to you. And they'll never let you finish those small things of beer because they want to make sure it's always cold.
Always cold,
so
right. That's the point of the chops, they call it.
Right. So
I love that.
That's the life.
But you can't get it over there anymore.
Well, you also can't. Would you want to stand in the Hudson River and?
Well, not for the river, but I mean, in the summertime when you're eating all that steak, something about those tiny little super cold beers is perfect.
Yeah, and actually, what I like are the caipirinhas, not of cachaça, which are very bad.
It's too strong for me.
Yeah, but the caipirinhas with vodka, those are nice.
But it's got to be made with that P2 rum to be a caipirinha.
No, well, actually, it's what's it called?
P2.
No, cachaça, sugarcane alcohol. That's how they. You can also do it with a rum, but it's the way I believe the Brazilians like it is with cachaça, and that stuff is, even the best stuff is lethal.
Yeah, I'm not
Seven
into-
Brothers Deli. Would there be any food left? Oh, come on.
Look at this asshole.
Go back to New Jersey. Caring for our community.
Yeah, driving through the light. It is New Jersey. Damn you.
We don't have light.
Damn you, New Jersey. Yeah.
Here we go. But Seven Brothers Deli. I mean, think of the
Too
mother.
many brothers, Charles.
Think of the mother.
If Tatiana were here, she would say probably the vagina fell out. Well, her uterus is going to fall out. She said that about some friend of ours who was having another baby. She sometimes was very funny.
Now, I don't know if these buildings can eventually be torn down, but as a guess, the ground may not be strong enough to support a tall building
Oh, fair point.
over here, but that's a question for the January 6th committee and that idiot who was worried about how the
The
islands
island's going to capsize? It's another good question for the people who built that condo building in Florida. Yeah,
right.
perfect. Block the crosswalk.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's what we need is more taxis.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, the January 6th committee is for people who don't understand American law. Sorry,
it's perfect.
it's
That's got nothing to do with it.
yeah. The why it's an affront to anybody who is serving in Congress and is therefore sworn an oath to uphold the Constitution. The basic principle is the three branches of government. And there are only three, in theory. Whoa!
What's going on here? Throwing laundry down from upstairs or something. You guys moving out?
They're moving to Mexico.
That guy can't even speak English, so it's a perfect spot.
So there are three branches of government, and they're equal. And
That's the way the Lord has said.
Step one
he's a federal judge, that guy.
in being crazy is make sure people understand what you're talking about.
That's right. So the three branches of government are equal. And mind you, when you go into government and you're in a high position, you swear an oath, careful, to uphold the Constitution. And it's crystal clear in the Constitution that the legislative branch makes the law, the executive branch
enforces it.
and the judicial branch settles conflicts. But the legislative branch has no right to start hauling people off to jail when they disagree with their political views. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, they have no legal power to do it.
Right, and on top of this, I mean, the precedent being set here that on the one hand, a truly bipartisan vote of Congress voted with Democrats, sizable numbers of Democrats, saying that that garbage heap Eric Holder should be held in criminal contempt, and he was held in criminal contempt.
But wait, they renewed that, or you're saying back in the day?
Back in the day, that happened, and he was never put in jail. He was never denied his right to counsel or put in leg irons off a jet. None of that happened. But here, that's the precedent set with Peter Navarro.
Well, our buddy Peter Navarro has an awesome Bivens complaint. What is it? That's a hell of a thing.
I wouldn't drop that on your foot.
Looks heavy.
So,
he texted me back yesterday. I said, "Who is this?" And I reminded him and sent him a link to the show that he was on. And I mean, hopefully he'll. Obviously, he's very busy. When he comes up for air, maybe we can have him back on.
Yeah, he's a good man. But so the press on the face of it, you know, if you're the Speaker of the House of Representatives and you're truly worried about budget deficits and spending money wisely, and some idiot comes to you with this January 6th committee and the approach that you're going to take, a responsible speaker, which is clearly not Nancy Pelosi, would say, "Fuck you, we're not doing this. This is a ridiculous waste of time and energy."
It's worse than that.
And a horrible precedent.
It's a criminal operation that should be stopped immediately. It's an affront to the Constitution, as you've said. It's an abuse of this power that we have given these idiots.
I didn't realize this place is still here.
Skyline Hotel.
Skyline Hotel.
It's pretty sketch.
Yeah. Note to the
Now,
guys.
wasn't that a gas station?
Note to the guys who are trying
Charles,
to.
wasn't that a gas station?
It could have been, yeah.
It was.
Wasn't a chicken processing plant.
Why is one of the only gas stations in New York City gone?
Well, we're transitioning to renewable energy, Jason.
Wow. You can see where the pumps were.
Yeah. Let's try to get in the shade somehow. So we got, in case people are, bring your lovely wife to the Skyline Hotel to celebrate your wedding anniversary, and you can get matching tattoos 24 hours.
Well, you could get some weed here, and then
before or after the tattoo.
Maybe both, and then also you could get a gas station burrito, except the gas station's gone.
But you could probably go to a mobile station and get some sushi.
Well, there's British Petroleum on 10th Avenue.
Do they have good sushi?
I don't think so. They don't even have good gas. And then there's sorry, Charles. Then there's it was a Lukoil, but it became a Mobile down by the village over there. And that was one of the only gas stations in the city. There was one Gaseteria down, that's gone for a long time. That was down by where we always hang out by the Adidas store. I guess, you know where that REI is? When I was at NYU, that was a gas station down there.
Yeah, there used to be a gas station on Hudson Street. What is this idiot doing? In Tennessee, of all places.
Yeah, well.
So
Phineas J. Whoopi, you're the greatest. That's Tennessee tuxedo.
Should we go to 11th, you think, or?
Hey.
Why not? We haven't done that in a
Wow,
while.
we got some garbage to navigate down there.
That's awesome. That's primo garbage. And you got the bottle collector.
You brought
hard
the
at
short
work.
skis, right? Because we're gonna.
That's what we could do, Jason. You know what? A sideline business. People
What?
go on safaris to Africa.
Yeah, garbage safari.
Garbage safari with Jason.
Well,
and
would it
Charles.
be a photo safari, or would you be hunting
video.
the garbage?
We'd be video. No, we'd be choice shots.
You
We
could
give everybody
spear it.
these special hats. That could.
Oh wait, no, Charles. This woman has us beat. She's on garbage safari.
I know. I'm saying this is. I've noticed this woman around.
That guy's the CEO.
The SOS, appropriately named. But
Wow.
You would think there's a simpler approach here.
Well, it's the cans, recycling the cans.
No, wouldn't it be just sensible to say to people in every building, look?
Don't they do that though?
I don't know.
That
Evidently
you have to
not.
recycle the cans?
It's
Wow,
great
this
to have
is-
this garbage, this fresh smell of garbage.
This is Garbage Row.
Yeah, it's the whole
like
city.
Billionaires Row.
Changed its name. New garbage, or actually old garbage.
So, what do you expect the effect of a president of the United States instructing an entire industry as to what the hell they need to do? Like, what will happen as a result of that? They said he has some mysterious emergency power. And by the way, this is like lighting your house on fire and then being like, oh my God, I have an emergency. Right. You just did that.
Right, I know. Well, again, there isn't an example around the world. Shout out to our friends at Document in Norway. I'm now doing a show, or an interview once a week on Wednesday with Geir and
Nice.
occasionally with Hans. And I'm trying to get these folks from Scandinavia to do a book warning the world based on the experience in Scandinavia that the Scandinavian business model does not work. The Scandinavian model of socialism and everything else.
What is that specific?
Well, the government should basically do everything and guarantee you a job, guarantee you free health care,
Yeah,
guarantee
of course
you
that doesn't work.
Well, it works if you're Norway and you're sitting on a gigantic amount of.
No, it doesn't.
Well, no, it does. It can if you have $1 trillion sovereign wealth fund and you're only 5 million people. And
that airline run like shit, Charles.
I know, but I'm just saying it can appear to work. And what I'm suggesting to these guys is that somebody over there write a book saying, tell Bernie Sanders to stop saying that we ought to have a socialist paradise here in America, because it didn't work in Scandinavia, and you got 40 years of history, 60 years, 80 years, whatever it is of history, proving that it's a stupid-ass idea.
You've just reminded me of what upset me so much about this Joe Biden approach. I mean, look, I don't love the idea that Exxon and Chevron are destroying everywhere and making tons of money from oil and whatever, but for Joe Biden to be like, we're finally going to get the millionaires and billionaires and large corporations to pay their fair share.
Fuck off.
Why don't you focus on getting the kleptocrat class like you and your asshole crackhead son to not steal money? I bet you we'd get even more
Have a
funds.
bounty. You know, give people like me who have the ability to look through financial statements and figure out where there's fraud. Give us bounties. Make me a bounty hunter.
about a
Let's
booty
go. Let's
hunter?
go across the street. So
Really? I think she
Just
wants
too
to talk
hot.
to you, Charles.
I know it's too hot.
I agree.
That's too hot, and you can, at minimum,
Yeah.
just take half your
Half
stuff,
the money, right?
half your stuff, and put
Just
it in escrow.
Allocate it, put it in an escrow account on the first date. Here you go, Charles.
What?
Weed being delivered directly to the garbage.
Use our app.
Perfect. No way that'll come back to you.
But so back on this bounty hunting thing. I mean, if you took the people who understand how to look at a Clinton Foundation financial
But they
statement and see
have
fraud,
this.
well, they don't really have it because they
Key
do the
tam
level.
lawsuits.
Well, but it's very cumbersome and it takes forever. And if you said we're going to have a reasonable process. We're not talking about you walk in and
Already
get
failed.
a lien tomorrow, but some reasonable process that not longer than, let's say, 12 months after the filing of a financial statement. It has to be true and accurate. You resolve it within 12 months of that. You start saying to people that you'll get some fixed percentage of what the government gets back from the exercise. Call it, say,
Oh,
a
it would
third.
be like a scavenger hunt.
And you'd suddenly have all these unemployed and underemployed people would say, I don't want to go take shit from some blue-haired nose ring guy or woman. I'm going to go, to Antigua or wherever I want to go. Look through these financial statements. What is this?
Well, this is Barbizon, but I mean, having this kind
Explain
of
what that is.
ground level. This is all like production. This light. I mean, this could be $15,000.
But what
9,000,
is
something like that.
Barbizon?
It's just a lighting place.
Good thing to know.
Juneteenth, they'll be closed. So I mean,
On June 20th.
But this type of showroom, honestly, Charles, you would have to go to. This is sparse for something that would be in Burbank. I can't believe that exists in New York City. That's new.
Yeah. Red Balloon Security is on the job. Great name for it. Bozo the Clown Security wasn't available, so Red Balloon.
But see, I agree with what you're saying. And these are the types of things where, I mean, again, what's his name? Eric Adams showed up,
Drunk?
did a lot of lip service, and what has changed? If anything, it's just more doing nothing and things have gotten worse. Joe Biden showed up. It's been like a very proactive, full court press toward terrible.
Right.
I mean, any of these ideas that you're talking about, they could just say, we're going to do this. It starts next week.
Right. Well, see, I go a step back and I say, we don't have to worry about editors not letting us say stuff. We don't have to worry about our multi-year contracts or any of that. I look at this disaster.
You and me don't have to worry
Right.
about that.
And many of our viewers don't have to worry about it. I look at this disaster and I ask myself, who benefits? China benefits. China benefits for sure. So why isn't it reasonable now?
She bono.
Exactly. Why isn't it reasonable for us to demand not only an investigation, a real investigation into Hunter Biden and
Right.
and the Bushes for profiting off China
Clintons,
and others,
Charlie Tree,
others profiting on China, and say these insiders, whether it's
Jared Kushner in Saudi Arabia.
but let's stay on China for a second. Folks who have profited from the long shit show. Now that's a first.
Amber Heard is back in Aquaman.
Boy, and she's eating.
Ooh.
Let's get
Well,
past
Johnny
this.
Depp had a horse who ate an ounce of weed, and now it just. Oh wow!
That's a mega pile. That's a stack of that
That
stuff.
can't be a. That can't be a dog, can it? Yeah, let's just observe the Intrepid right here for
I
a
think
moment.
Joe Biden's renamed that the stupid.
That's the SR-71 on there, Charles.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to what you were saying about they should implement new stuff with the IRS.
Well, no, I was talking about who benefits from all this.
We
And
want
so,
to write China.
so you look at it's crystal clear that nobody in the Biden family, the extended Biden family, including his Haley Biden, all these people who married into the family, should be allowed anywhere near any economic decision involving anything of consequence.
Including Joe.
Yeah, absolutely, including Joe. So, it is perfectly reasonable.
Oh,
What?
prestige class for 33 passengers.
No. It's perfectly reasonable now to say, now wait a minute, how come nobody noticed that Hunter and Joe were getting this sweetheart private equity deal when neither of them have any experience managing anything, let alone billions of dollars, in league with arms from the Chinese Communist Party and the People's Liberation Army? How come nobody in our CIA
that's totally normal.
They're too busy writing that
Happens
letter?
all the time.
They're too busy writing the letter that's saying that everybody knows that the Trump organization was in league with Alpha Bank and the server.
Well, they say things like it has all the hallmarks of a Russian influence op.
Right. So you look at that, and then you look at the number of different ways Ukraine was financing the Clinton campaign, and then was in the center of efforts to target Trump and the Trump administration. And then you ask yourself again, who has ties to the Ukrainians? And of course, it's Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. I mean, in a serious movie or a serious documentary or inquiry into this, you'd be. What do you think?
Well, the one idiot was waving, and I just looked at him like, you're an idiot, and sent the brainwaves, and his friend said it's a selfie cam. And they were disappointed.
Yeah. So we're giving people a tunnel eye view here. This is, we're going towards the Holland, not the Lincoln Tunnel.
Well, and the Javits, right? Or that's one block.
That's 8
Oh, no,
blocks.
you're right. Yeah, that's the Mercedes thing there.
That's where you get your Mercedes?
I don't have any Mercedes.
Oh,
but
Jason, you don't have to be modest.
I think it's a dealership or something, but it's
Volvo.
a giant. Yeah, I mean, this used to be, there was a Ford dealership over here at one point,
yeah.
but not anymore.
Now they probably have a crack warehouse. More than
Well, I
one.
think it became this. Apartments.
Well, there's going to be more dealerships as we go down here, I think.
But I mean, one for Ford would be helpful so they don't have to go so far to get the oil
You
changed.
bought a car for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a much better financial situation when I bought that car, but I don't regret doing it because out of any investment I could have made, that's the one thing that probably has retained its value, which is really upside down compared to the way things normally work, right?
So you're investing in tuna fish cans now too?
Well, somebody said to do that, right?
Yeah, I love silver.
Well, I don't like mercury, and that's
No, it's
loaded up
absurd.
in those tuna fish cans. But seriously, the car
I'm investing in
It
lap
does something.
dances. I mean, yeah, come on.
useful, and they've become harder to get.
Lap dances?
Cars.
Oh, I was trying to stay on
haven't
point.
audited the lap dance market in some time.
That sounds like a project, Jason. It sounds like a whole show.
Yeah, I don't know. That's more
Look
of
at this,
a
a brand new
Hunter
city.
Biden project.
We were
Well, it reminds me of RoboCop, which
Ro-
which took place in New Detroit,
Robo Flop.
and they had incredible crime, so they wanted to bring in RoboCop to be an efficient law enforcement unit.
But that's with, we've got Robo Flop, Joe Biden.
Well, we already did RoboCullen, so I don't know if we could do RoboCop.
Michael J. Quill.
On the other side of
Plus-
this thing, isn't there some Mercedes dealership?
I don't know.
This guy invented the pen, Charles.
This may well be the Michael Corleone Social Center.
That's the next one up the street at the Javits.
Exactly. Don't look into the foundation too closely.
Well, thankfully, stupid Andrew Cuomo has been shutting up.
Yeah, what?
I hope my allegations against a certain president and CEO of a certain television foundation are causing those dopes to lay low because, the private company website was taken down and hasn't been restored. And that was definitely done coincident with me filing stuff. So I don't know what that means, but it seems like they know that what I'm saying might be correct.
Good. Good. So this really used to be, back in the day, Tumbleweed Central. Right? There were further down some car dealerships and stuff.
There's the Javits.
Yeah. Now, we don't have the light,
But it's not moving.
they're not moving. You know, who in his right mind would commute to New York City by car and have to deal with this? That cannot be pleasant.
You know, the NTS, or the National Highway whatever, came out with a report about self-driving cars, which said that Teslas account for more crashes than other auto manufacturers. And that was the headline that I saw. Now, I didn't dig into the article, but what it causes me to think is, so if you say, oh, Tesla had 1,000 crashes, Ford only had 12 or 10, I bet you Tesla sold more than 100 times the number of self-driving vehicles. Like, I don't think they're comparing apples to apples.
Probably not.
And they want every single headline to be anti-Tesla and anti-Musk, particularly now. I mean, Trump is going to be pissed at Musk for saying he wants DeSantis, right?
Who knows? Who knows? I think, I'm just gladdened that, with high oil prices, potholes everywhere, problems everywhere, the economy in free fall, stock market in free fall, that McKinsey trained Pete Boot Edge is spending every waking hour identifying racist roads so he can dig them up and build new green roads.
Is he done breastfeeding? Because he's got to use some time for that.
Today's National Olive Day.
Oh, wow.
Good to know.
I knew that, actually. They had somebody at Whole Foods standing next to the olive bar. And I was like, what are you doing here? And it's National Olive Day.
Every day. I mean, what's the worst day? National Coffin Day? I mean,
what's that over there?
Street Grill.
Street Grill.
Actually, let's go in this way so it's around in the shade.
Sure. Butchery Beyond.
Sorry.
It's like Bloodbath and Beyond.
I don't know. Yeah.
That's where Homer Simpson bought his gun.
Bloodbath and Beyond, that's good.
Yeah, at the shopping mall. Well, so this is a whole new section of the Javits. This is what they were building during the pandemic.
Good thing it's LEED certified. Should be, instead of LEED certified, should be weed certified.
It's that
That's
too.
green too, right?
Yeah. They do have some kind of marijuana event. I remember seeing it. Wow.
Cockroach DB.
Yeah,
what
I
kind
don't
of an
know
ad
what
is
that
this? Survive your wildest dream. Cockroach DB. I mean,
It's some software convention.
What kind of a-
Couchbase.
but what kind of a company gets together and says, yeah,
What about a skeleton chef? They're culinary gangsters.
Gary's Steaks.
Oh, it's got to be cheesesteaks because he's got the Liberty Bell. Philly cheesesteaks.
And the
I mean,
concept.
this is like a totally different city, Charles.
I know, but the concept of having this kind of gathering, I mean, who would have a convention in New York City and pay the taxes that you have to pay now?
What if you had a company in New York City?
Well, then you'd be, even a convention, go to a place but to come to New York City where people are nasty, it's very expensive, you pay a lot of taxes, and by coming here you run the risk that you might be tagged for New York taxes, that the aggressive state tax people might say, look, you came to this convention, you built your business, so we want to assess a special tax against you. They're just aggressive. Maybe we'll go up those steps. They do stuff like that, yeah.
That's crazy.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Can we go up the steps, sir?
So I guess the Army doesn't control this thing anymore.
Which thing? Oh yeah, here.
Just go in there and tell them, I'm here for the vaccine. Like, no, it's the cockroach festival now. It's free weed.
Put that on your resume. I planned the 2022 cockroach convention.
Oh.
How much planning did you need? Just put a bunch of garbage on the street and
No, we had a whole database. Every cockroach was accounted for.
Right. There's a beautiful slimy brown one. Why aren't there any white cockroaches, by the way?
This is racist.
It's totally racist. I bet you if cockroaches are white, people would say, those are pretty nice.
No, they'd say,
White
it's the
privilege.
source of all problems.
Yeah, white cockroaches. White privilege. But seriously, the value or the cost of all these buildings has got to be, I don't know if it's a trillion. I don't know if it's a trillion, but it's up
Just
there.
in this,
All these buildings that you can see, these new modern buildings, and these are very
Hudson Yards.
expensive.
Yeah, you're right. How occupied are they?
Not very.
Occupy Hudson Yards.
Joe Biden should go on a shit fit about that. I command you to start
Right, I mean-
working in offices.
So, but just let's revisit that for a second, because I almost can't believe it. They were like, "Oh, Trump is acting like a dictator." Yet, stupid Joe, excuse
a
us, lady, sorry. Yeah, he's telling companies what to do.
Yeah.
What put the thought in his head that that's even something that he could do? Should
Well-
we go in that way to get more shade?
It's up to you. Yeah, you can do that.
This also gets us to check out the craziness of the.
Let's just go one more block down, so it's not all this crap.
Check out the wedge again, the edge, the verge, whatever the hell it's called,
The Cyberge.
the diverge,
Yeah. But
divert. That's what they can call it.
live bait.
Bad boy club shows. Just put a wing on a Hyundai and you're in. I think you need the sticker also.
Those of you who are thinking of leaving the country, or at least investing in property offshore, the Thai currency is plummeting
Why?
because it's a tourism-based country, and
Oh, all right. What is their major export? Coconuts.
no, it's not that bad. They
Thailand?
well, they have shrimp and Thai people, and no, it's tourism is a very big operation, and they have Yale. Way to go. For a person who never went to Yale. Anyway, they have a variety of different industries, that they've built up. But
ADD aside, we just got driven by a electric Mustang, and this morning Ford announced a recall of some sort of flaw that could result in a total loss of power.
is that good?
No, but it just goes to show that this electric car deal is, I mean, you're taking a 100-plus-year-old technology that's extremely mature and reliable and just getting to the point where they're really able to start applying technology to it, like that free valve technology we've spoken about before that can really make 30% efficiency and performance improvements to a very mature technology versus going into something completely new where, I mean, Ford has not a lot of experience building electric cars.
Well, I mean, I think if AOC thinks it's a good idea, then obviously you should do it, right?
Right.
Yeah. She graduated from the Lemming School of Economics.
She's like the producer on Hillbilly Blood saying, no, we need to use this camera because we have a deal with Panasonic. And I was like, okay, but if you want your show to actually get made, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, go yell at you more until you can fix that. Oh.
Great. These folks are from out of town.
Yeah.
All right, we'll head up.
You can tell because they're smiling.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, so we'll go through here.
Sure. And there's
Welcome to Bella Abzug Park.
Who is Bella Abzug?
Bella Abzug was an iconoclastic congresswoman who, what was that show? God, what was her name? She was sort of like, she was your typical...
Valerie Harper.
No, not Valerie Harper, it's somebody
Mary Tyler Moore.
No, it's somebody else on that Rhoda show, I think it was.
Rhoda.
Yeah.
These were like, sitcoms in rerun when I was 10.
Right. Well, do.
That's not a bad thing. There was a sculpture park in here
You
somewhere.
could do Rona. That's
Yeah,
a
well, they're
rerun.
doing it right here.
Yeah, I'm saying you could do that. Could be a TV show, Rona, not Rhoda.
Got the Rona.
But Bella Abzug was a firebrand female congressman. She might have been among the earliest firebrand female congresswomen. And whether she accomplished much, I don't know. But she certainly, you know, who's
Branded stuff
not
with
shy about mouthing off.
See, now this is also this is like a little LA section
Right.
they've shoved down here. Like all these cars in front of an Equinox. There's fancy rich people working out in there.
But wouldn't you think that if you were serious about working out,
You wouldn't have your limo driver there?
You put a bike rack here?
Maybe.
Seriously, I mean, you could do, instead of doing a Peloton spin class, get on
There's a lot of reasons why you might not want to do that. Some people, if
or
you
walk
want
here. I mean, you know, you don't need
Yeah.
to. These are not just ordinary cars. These are gas guzzling monsters.
And this, I guess, is an apartment building, or what the hell is going on with this? But, oh, it's a hotel. Oh, is it Equinox Hotel? Maybe. I mean, that's a super premium fitness brand. Maybe they own a hotel.
Come on here, work on your fitness, and then drink some acid made by Starbucks. It tastes like bilge water.
I thought you liked Starbucks.
I only liked it to sit there
And watch
on
the
the
crazy
internet, and
people.
I would have the tea, which wasn't probably all that good either.
No, I don't like their chamomile tea.
But I'm totally done with. I'll probably never go back to Starbucks
I like that. That's good.
because it's just a waste of money.
So now look, they have some concerts here.
The Museum of
I
Love.
haven't heard of any of those things.
Michelle Obama's coming, July 27th.
Unlikely.
Who else would dare to just use the name Michelle
what is this? Take a spin. Oh, what are they making a 3D picture of?
I do not want to do that.
I already
You want
have
a Rolex?
several. I'm all right. I mean, you're
You're
buying?
good?
Yeah.
No. I'm walking
That's,
by.
you know that movie, Kingpin, where he's like,
bowler?
yeah,
bowling
he's a
movie?
famous bowler, and they're interviewing him about how he lost his career for drinking and he quit drinking, and the interviewer says, "Are you still drinking?" And he's like, "Nah." Why, you buying?
That's Woody Harrelson or whatever.
Yeah, that's a very funny movie.
Not that I watch stupid movies, but if you
Yeah,
don't
we
want
could
a
do a little
Rolex
walk back on the High Line here.
on the Get High line,
Charles, I always want a Rolex. The problem is they're like $10,000 and I'm a little light.
I don't wear a watch.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm too afraid it would get stolen. Chop your arm off for a Rolex. I think I told you this story. I had a friend, two friends in college. They got married. He made a lot of money doing stock, whatever, and bought her some kind of, I think, 4-carat diamond.
Wow.
It's gigantic. And I mean, I have no idea how much this thing costs, but there's like a tiny little girl
I don't think we can
with
go
this
in
giant diamond.
here.
And I just think it was a stupid
Okay.
thing to do. Someone's going to chop her hand off to steal that, I told her. They got divorced.
See?
Well, it
Chopped
had
his
nothing
hand
to
off.
do with the diamond.
Chopped his hand off.
I wonder what
She
happened
kept
to
the
that
diamond. She
diamond.
kept
I've
the
lost
diamond.
touch with both of them. Pretty windy over here, Charles. I bet you that has to do with the building design. This thing's on
I think
wheels
it
in
has
case
to
they
do
need
with
to
global
move
warming.
it. Right. Global wind.
Yeah, Joe Biden must be nearby at Mexican lunch.
Boy, it's really difficult to...
Yeah, High line ahead. You're right. This is the High Line. What do you know?
I know.
Did you know that?
Yeah. That's why I said let's do a walk back on the High Line. But it smells like somebody was barbecuing something back there.
What does it say?
This?
What does freedom mean to you?
Putting on a mask and shutting up and coming here with an invitation. I mean, a reservation.
No, we are joining Outdoor Afro to reflect on what it means to be free.
Spend 2.5 hours here at the High Line or another park.
Outdoor Afro is a national not-for-profit organization that celebrates and inspires Black connections.
Outdoor Afro. Well, all right.
Sounds like a fraud to me.
I'm convinced that every single one of these tax-exempt organizations,
Too many
with
of
the
them
possible exception of the guide dogs for
I'm
the
sure
blind.
there's the grift
No,
in there. I'm sure there's
I
a
looked
grift.
at their 990, Charles, and it was more filled in than any other company we've ever looked at. On the board of directors, they had a veterinarian, a lawyer, an accountant, and some person who was running it, and that person was paid like a regular, like 50 grand or
How
something.
many grifters do they have?
I don't know, but it looked to be. I like to help the guide dogs for the blind
That's a
because
nice idea, yeah.
you know.
But there's
blind-
always an angle that you have to, you know.
There's a lot of blind people there on 23rd Street because they have the that home, you know.
You know, every
And I
time
just see
go
them
up
and I
to-
think how terrible it would be to be blind and trying to walk around, at least if they have a dog.
Yeah, that's true. Luke's living. This is. We walked the other direction, so I hadn't seen this perspective.
It's nice up here for sure. It's quieter.
You know what would be even nicer? Living on a beach in Thailand, and then you could have, you know, Google Earth show you this. So yeah, it is nice over there, but right here it's pretty good.
I just want to be unmolested. There's so many fucking assholes, pardon my speech,
Is that a
who are
technical
dedicated their lives to just disrupting every single thing that I do, and they revel in it. It's truly evil. They deserve whatever horrible fate is coming to them, and worse.
term?
But it is a lovely day in the park.
In the neighborhood.
Look at these flowers.
Those are pink.
That's nice. Not that crowded up here today either, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually nice. This is an example of doing something different.
Oh my God.
What?
Death Avenue Brewing Company. Why is that good? It looks like Icarus flew too close to the sun.
Historic landmark, don't you know?
That building?
It says.
It looks like a wreck.
To me, the idea you would want to have
Barbecue right
that's
there?
somebody's apartment, or you think that's like the common area?
I think that's
of
the
building?
common area.
But-
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, your
Awfully close.
apartment is just somebody could jump in there.
Awfully close.
It looks like somebody's apartment.
Awfully close to the
Yeah, the dude is just sitting on his couch.
texting.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you were having a barbecue, it might be a good way to meet people. Strangers come over to your barbecue from the High Line.
Right near Scores. It's
Wow.
probably texting Scores and saying, "Look,
Yeah,
come on over."
he's checking the menu. He's auditing the lap dances. Now look at that. You could see right into the whole, that looks like it's under construction.
Under decoration.
Huh.
Yeah, that I'm not into that kind of proximity to complete strangers. Check out our roof deck.
Now, what other topics have we got on the mind here
Well,
today?
how did the market close?
Let's check.
As Jay announced, I think it'd be interesting to see if it's just unchanged, which they call unch, or big down or big up.
The Dow says plus 303,
So
Charles.
it's big up. So the market
But
was,
303.
there you go. The market was encouraged.
By what?
The fact that the central bank has finally noticed that there is an inflation problem and is prepared to do something about it.
And so, what will happen?
Joe will fuck it up.
Yeah, that seems likely. How'd Twitter do? That's what Maria Bartiromo. Twitter, it's very important. 37, it's up.
What?
Twitter,
But you hear Biden has got somebody to do his biography.
what, Dr. Seuss?
Sycophant.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine the caliber person who would actually agree to write
I couldn't figure out how to get up.
a Biden that's meant to, a biography that's meant to be positive for that Nimrod?
I mean, listen, I believe there are still a large number of delusional people who think that because he's not Donald Trump, Joe Biden is doing a great job.
Yeah. Many of those people live in insane asylums.
No, I mean, regular,
In insane
seemingly
completely
regular people.
insane people.
Insane in the membrane.
Right. I would, invent every conceivable excuse to get out of meeting Joe Biden.
Right.
Sorry, I'm meeting the Alien
I'd like to meet
civilization.
with them. I'd have serious
I would
questions.
have no
for
interest.
them. They'd throw me out in about a minute.
I'm saying that's why I'd have no interest. You'd just be a humiliation exercise.
So let's see if anybody has any questions for you here, Charles, or comments. People are saying the buildings look good. Somebody else says the buildings look ugly. That's what makes horse races, Charles.
Yeah, well, that's the whole purpose of having this country, that you have people express their views, and something that one person finds beautiful, another might find ugly, and through the attempt to explain the differences, that's how you learn.
And that's how you compromise. That woman was breaking the rules. She pulled off a flower and had it in her hands. Obviously, you're not supposed to do that in a public garden.
Well, I don't know.
If everybody did that, we'd have no flowers.
Live and let live.
That's part of leaving the flowers where they are, isn't it?
So is this, where are we trying to get?
Well, we should probably take the next set of stairs down.
All right. Are we going the speed limit?
Funny, yeah, when I say let's look at the comments.
There's no comments?
No, I'm only able to look at a small number. Now that we're fractured across so many different channels, it's difficult to look at more than one set of comments,
So one thing that happened, I could report, I did another interview. I asked this person, where are you from? And they said, well, I'm from Iran. And I said, okay, fine, I'll do the interview. And I should have asked a little bit more penetrating question. Yes, the person was from Iran, but she works for Iraqi TV. So I've done several.
Why is that bad?
There's nothing bad about it. It's just interesting that somehow people would figure out how to get me on WhatsApp and ask me to go on Iraqi television, which I've done now a few different times.
What is Iraqi television?
Well, it's, I've been on Turkish television, Iranian television, different ones. And it's just, I like doing it. I like Russian television. I mean, it's interesting to interact with anchors and interviewers who ask you questions from perspectives that you wouldn't necessarily consider. It's like,
trying to see if I recognize the Steadicam operator, but nobody over there looks like one.
So that was fun. We'll have to see.
Is that like Iraqi TV on cable in New York, or it's in Baghdad?
No, it's in I don't even know if it's Baghdad, but it's somewhere in Iraq. Careful, careful.
Was that their mother?
Who cares?
She's looking at you, upset. Oh, let these kids break your leg, Charles. I'm busy not paying attention.
Yeah, probably a nanny.
That's right.
Oh, let's see, what is this?
That's the stairs.
To what? This gets us out at 23rd Street.
Yeah.
We better get out here. We can go over to, was it Boston Market?
I think it used to be that. It's something else now. Maybe it's
we may be going the wrong.
Korean something.
We should be on the left side, it says here, for some reason.
Left side?
Arrows on the left, but I don't think it really matters.
This is going to be the ambulance depot down here.
Well, there are a few ambulances.
Yeah, this is it.
Quite a walk, Jason.
I hear you, Charles.
I'll walk you up to 7th.
Well, I've got the 3D shoes today, so I don't mind.
The WCC gift shop.
There's less ambulances around here now than there were at the height of the pandemic.
Now, do you want to go on that side of the street or this side of the street? Maybe that side of the street is less.
Sure.
How do you
Get
say,
run over
big
by
ass?
a truck full of Bud Light. That sounds like a horrible death.
I haven't had a beer in quite a while.
I had some beer on my birthday with sushi.
Was it Asahi Super Dry?
Super Dry? That's a clothing company.
That's some wind.
No, Asahi, no, I prefer Sapporo. Which in Japan, they poo-pooed. They insisted I drink Asahi in Japan. And I guess Sapporo is one of these beers that's primarily exported.
Well, they have all their points of view.
Is that Elon Musk?
I don't think so. Impossible Burger, made from plants.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I'd rather eat dreck.
I have a very possible burger made out of a cow. Why do I need that?
That's right. Why do I need to pay extra to have that crap?
Charles Klaus Schwab will eat a possible burger.
Klaus Schwab. Miserable, pathetic man.
Now, so some doctor was talking about Justin Bieber's haze, whatever syndrome that he has from, his face is paralyzed. And the doctor said that, look, just based on looking at the severity of the paralysis, it's likely that it's
permanent.
Some aspect of it could be permanent. Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah. And don't forget, his 25-year-old wife just had one of those TIA strokes a few months ago. I forgot about this too. That guy Trevor Hawkins, who I think was the drummer for Foo Fighters.
He died, right?
He died. He's my age. He died in March. And now, to be fair, the toxicology said that he had opiates, some antidepressant like benzodiazepine,
right, that's
and marijuana. And, I think you could probably die from that. But then again, you look at somebody like Keith Richards, do a toxicology on him.
Do I have to?
No, I mean, he's like probably close to 80 and still alive. That's amazing.
Yeah, if he hadn't been doing drugs, he'd probably
be dead.
Yeah, maybe. The drugs scared away the germs.
Well, no biological things can live inside that environment, so he's like a zombie.
Wow, these crosstown blocks are long.
One of the funniest things ever was Mike Myers and Mick Jagger on Saturday Night Live doing an interview where Mike Myers played Mick Jagger and Mick Jagger played Keith Richards.
That's funny.
And the impersonation of Keith Richards was so funny. People should look it up.
Yeah. I mean, it's a miracle that Mick Jagger's still alive. How old is he?
He's also like 78 or 77 or something. Saul McCartney, I think, is 80 or 81.
When I was in college, there was this place called, we walked by it actually. We even had lunch.
Oh yeah, we went in there.
Toad's place. Well, we went, Yorkside is where we ate, but Toad's place is nearby. And that's the place where they would have these famous bands come and just gig out in the Rolling Stones.
Didn't you tell me the Rolling Stones, right?
Yeah. When I didn't go. I didn't know about it. I probably wouldn't have gone, but because it's too crowded.
That's the kind of thing like, my grandfather used to talk about how somebody wanted to get him to invest in this crazy thing called Xerox.
Yeah, exactly.
Who the hell would want to make a copy of a piece of paper? Why do you
go right
that?
ahead.
What a bitch.
City bike.
City bike. That's just not the way. Who?
Beers, $7.
Wow.
Cocktail, $11.
Who has the money?
To go here to like a deli?
I mean, exactly. This is a crap place and it's $7 for one beer.
But you get next to a nice garbage heap, you go to the smoke shop, go to the tequila Mexican restaurant. What's that? Tequila Cheetos Mexican
I've been in
restaurant.
there.
Any good?
20 years ago, no, it wasn't good. I'm surprised it's still open.
Somehow I suspect the only thing going on there is not food.
Well, I guess it's drinks and it's probably not too expensive. So for a neighborhood place, people just go there, right? I don't know, any other important topics coming to mind, Charles? There's so much stuff, it's hard to...
Well, we have the Ukraine situation, and Ukraine announcing that they're not going to export any electricity,
How can they even do that? Aren't they
Well, they
under
have power
siege?
plants. The neighboring countries need electricity, but the point is that is just so badly fucked up. Is that the Tribeca Festival, I guess, yeah.
Well, it's the SVA theater, but I think they participate.
It says Tribeca.
Yeah. Used to be just a regular movie
What's
theater.
its address?
333. It used to be just a regular movie theater. I saw the first Spider-Man movie in there. Not the one I worked on, the very first Tobey Maguire one in 2000. And then sometime after that, SVA took it over, and they do their animation festival there. And
What does
everything.
SVA stand for?
The School of Visual Arts.
Oh,
I used to get a lot of interns from there for 3D animation.
really? I
Yeah.
had a college friend who taught there.
Yeah, I kind of like SVA. I used to, like when I was running 21st Century 3D, they would send me stuff every year, and I would go to events they would do and try to hire people or stuff like that.
The Broadmoor is getting an upgrade.
Is it?
Looks like.
It needs some air conditioning.
Probably needs to get rid of the asbestos that's in there. Is it that?
Yeah, so we'll have to see what happened to Steve Bannon.
Yeah. Sebastian Gorka needs to stop selling that balance of nature food supplement on television.
I don't want any nutritional advice from Sebastian Gorka. When I met him personally, he looked very unhealthy to me, and he smelled like somebody who drinks alcohol all the time.
It was just mouthwash, bitch.
No, that might have helped.
So you ever go
And
here?
he also has the rare distinction of booking on the show and then flaking.
Twice.
Exactly. I wasn't going to say that because I wasn't sure if you'd be annoyed that I brought that up.
That's
but
okay.
That was a dick move.
That was. But he thought he was a big deal back then, and I suppose he was tied into the Trump machine.
Well, I mean, so what do you think? Is Trump going to run? And I mean, all this stuff that they're saying about Biden, they're just going to flip around onto Trump and say the same thing. Although I got to say, at 79, Trump is going to be a lot sharper.
At 109, he'd be a lot sharper than Biden at 59.
So it was just his birthday yesterday, actually. So how old is Trump? 75?
74, 75, I'm not sure, yeah. Oh boy. This guy got to do it.
But there
Yep,
are,
look
like
at
when
this.
I met Cy Hirsch, I think he was over 82.
Just
And his
goes
mind
out.
was as sharp as a tack. And he had just actually the day before had an ankle injury from playing tennis.
I know.
And was still at the office walking around, albeit a little bit limpy.
So he was the definition of a grumpy old man.
He was polite enough.
So you go to Popeyes, what, once a week?
I hate it.
It's right there.
I know, but I don't go there.
Oh, Jason, you're being shy. It's your biggest investment. Popeyes chicken.
Yeah, right. I guess it probably must be public, right? But why invest
I don't
in
know.
that? I mean, there's so many of those restaurants.
It's possible.
So let's see. Here's this Cineopolis.
That must.
So they're saying that the Top Gun movie is.
What?
I don't know. This guy's going to see Pocahontas, but it's not playing. What's going on here?
It's more.
Rush ticket. Oh, they're
Tribeca
doing
Festival.
Tribeca. Ah, that makes sense. Rush is playing, Charles.
Rush is still
Lee
dead.
Stranahan will be excited.
Isn't Rush still dead?
I think one of them is dead, but Geddy Lee is. I think the drummer died.
I was talking about Rush. I'm talking about Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, right. No, I'm
He's definitely dead.
talking about Geddy Lee. I'm not. This restaurant should have closed years ago. It's terrible.
You're doing your Simon Cowell restaurant review.
You're
food
horrible.
was
You
terrible.
can't cook. Ambiance is terrible.
That's right.
What are you doing here?
Wine list is embarrassing.
Look at this in the middle of the day. One dime. They're lowballing it. Everybody else is asking for a couple of dollars.
I don't think that's cash they're talking about.
Oh, exactly. Well,
This hotel was quite. You took us to dinner here once, a bunch of us.
that restaurant no longer exists.
Well, except the neon is back.
Well, what happened is somebody bought it and named it the same thing, but it's a totally different layout, totally different menu, and all of the reviews that I've read are from people who used to go there who say it's terrible now.
Looks open.
Well, but I mean, it used to be lobster was the specialty, and it was actually a really good deal because it was like only slightly more than it would
This
cost.
is open too.
That's the hotel. It was only slightly more than it would cost to actually buy the lobster and cook it yourself.
This was open one of the times we walked by.
It's
Does not look open.
out of luck now. This whole.
This is, Joe Biden, this is your future. This is urban renewal. People coughing, smoking.
Yeah,
We're lucky they're only coughing and smoking and not taking a dump.
right. That's their negotiation with you. Be thankful that I'm coughing on you. This could be feces. Come back at night.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, everything is closed. That's unbelievable.
But that's progress, Jason. You see, they're lowering the carbon footprint, decreasing the foot traffic and the car traffic into the city. This is good. This is your green future.
Somebody says, what happened to Charles? I don't know what they mean. You're right here. But Charles, so, Fauci has COVID. So far, everybody they've announced has COVID. Nothing happens. When it first started, it was like deadlier than cancer. And now it's like, Jen Psaki has COVID.
It's the Omicron variant.
Yeah, I don't know. Should we end here?
I think so, if that's okay.
All right, Charles. Excellent episode today. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Good workout.
Don't forget to become sponsors on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. It helps me a lot. I am deep into the process of creating the Crowdsource the Truth video server 2.0, which is such a radically different approach to doing it. I don't even want to get into the details because it's going to bore people and stuff like that. But this is the way I should have done it in the first place. And I couldn't do it without the support of viewer sponsors. And this is going to restore First Amendment access to Crowdsource the Truth and make it super duper resilient to stick it in the ass of those stupid Mario brothers. Thanks for watching, everybody.